अस्सलाम वालेकुम डियर स्टूडेंट्स, मैं हूं इशफाक रियाज डार और आज हमने फिजिक्स का एक इंटरेस्टिंग और बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक आपके लिए चुना है, ग्रेविटेशन। जी हाँ, 9th क्लास का टॉपिक है चैप्टर ग्रेविटेशन में और हम इस चैप्टर में यूनिवर्सल लॉ ऑफ ग्रेविटेशन डिस्कस करेंगे। लेकिन फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी विल डिस्कस व्हाट ग्रेविटी इज एंड व्हाट ग्रेविटेशन इज, देन वी विल कम टू द famous universal law of gravitation given by basically Newton. All of you are familiar with the fact that whenever we throw a body upwards, it falls down. आपने वो न्यूटन का फेमस इंसिडेंट सुना होगा when he was sitting under an apple tree and an apple fell on him. वो फिर सोचने लगा what is the force responsible for this basically. आपको पता है फोर्स की जो डेफिनेशन है, it produces or tends to produce acceleration or I can say retardation or retardation in the body. Basically force is needed to change the speed or the direction of motion of the body. So some sort of force must be acting on these bodies. For example, अगर हम body को ऊपर throw करते हैं, it falls down. Why? What is the force responsible for it basically? And this is what physics is all about, studying nature and natural phenomenon. What is going on in nature? Physics will explain all these phenomena. और ये जो force है basically after a lot of thinking, Newton came to the conclusion that it is basically the gravitational force that is responsible for this. Actually it is the earth that attracts apple towards itself, right? So this is basically gravity. Gravity is nothing but the force with which an apple it is attracted towards the center of the earth, right? लेकिन हमने न्यूटन थर्ड लॉ भी सुना है, to every action there is always an equal and opposite reaction. That is f of 1 2 as per the vector form it is equal to f of 2 1. I mean to every action there is always an equal and opposite reaction. Now the question is, if the apple falls towards the earth, why don't we see earth moving towards the apple? इसका आंसर भी न्यूटन ने ही दिया है अपने सेकंड लॉ में. As per the second law, F is equal to mass into acceleration. Now, for a given force, since F is constant, for a given force, M, or I can say it is inversely proportional to A, or I will write A is inversely proportional to M. Now, see, the two bodies under consideration here are an apple and the earth. This is apple and the earth. Now, as per actually the mass of earth, it is very huge. It is of the order of 6 into 10 raised power 24 kg. और एप्पल का मास आपको पता है बहुत कम होता है. Now see, the relation between acceleration and mass, it is an inverse relation. Larger the mass, smaller will be the acceleration. Smaller the mass, greater will be the acceleration. Since the mass of apple is very very small as compared to this very mass, I mean the mass of earth, we see that it is apple that falls towards the earth and not the other way around. Although the force with which apple is attracted towards the earth is same as compared to the force is same with which earth is attracted towards the apple. Same force is responsible for the motion of moon around the earth. Because moon revolves around the earth, it is because of the gravitational force that provides the necessary centripetal force. So the force with which an apple is attracted, or you can say a force with which a body is attracted towards the center of the earth, this is called the gravity, or you can simply call it Earth's gravitational pull. So this is the definition of gravity, or you can say the Earth's gravitational pull. Simply the force with which a body is attracted towards the center of the earth. Now अगर हम अपने सोलर सिस्टम की बात करेंगे, जहां पे एवरी प्लैनेट, हमारे पास जो 8 प्लैनेट्स है सोलर सिस्टम में, मर्क्यूरी, वीनस, अर्थ, मार्स, जुपिटर, सैटर्न, यूरेनस और नेपच्यून, एवरी प्लैनेट revolves around the sun in elliptical orbit. अगर आपको याद होगा, as per Kepler's laws of planetary motion, that is basically a separate topic to discuss. Law of periods, law of areas, or law of orbits. Simply I will write here, basically every planet revolves around the sun. Which force is basically responsible for this? the motion of the planets around the sun, the motion of the moon around the earth, right? Or you can say the apple falling towards the earth. Which force is basically responsible for all this? Actually, it was a physicist, namely Sir Isaac Newton, who explained this phenomenon. Basically, ये जो force है, ये gravitational force है, जिसे मैंने आपको अभी बताया, Earth is gravitational pull. Later on, ये जो concept है, I mean the motion of the moon around the earth, motion of planets around the sun, or motion of apple towards the earth. ये जो gravity है, basically this was based then extended to motion of planets, or this concept was basically then extended to the force of attraction. Actually जो earth है, it attracts apple towards itself. Sun this attracts is with the gravitational force because of the masses. ये जो concept है, ये फिर न्यूटन ने extend किया to any two bodies in the universe. If I have any two bodies in the universe, they will attract each other because of their masses. The force of attraction between any two bodies in the universe, that is basically called gravitation. यही है 9th class का जो chapter है, topic है gravitation. Gravitation क्या है basically? This was basically the concept which was extended by Newton to any two bodies in the universe. The force of attraction between any two bodies in the universe, it is called the gravitation. और ये जो gravity है आप, it is the special case of gravitation. Now the question is, what is the magnitude of this very force? अगर दो bodies आपस में अपने आप को attract करते हैं with the force, what is the magnitude of this force? Upon which parameters does this force depend? इसके लिए एक law दिया है न्यूटन ने, that is called the universal law of gravitation. So let me write here, Newton's law of gravitation भी आप इससे कह सकते हो, or you can simply call it the universal law of gravitation. Universal law of gravitation. Why universal law of gravitation? क्यों इसे universal law of gravitation कहा जाता है? क्योंकि why universal? Because it is applicable to all the bodies, whether the bodies are small, whether the bodies are big, whether the bodies are celestial or terrestrial bodies, or you can apply it anywhere in the universe. That is why this is called the universal law of gravitation, or you can simply say Newton's law of gravitation. और अगर मैं आपको इसका स्टेटमेंट बताऊंगा, स्टेटमेंट ऑफ यूनिवर्सल लॉ ऑफ ग्रेविटेशन, क्या है इसका स्टेटमेंट मैं आपको समझाऊंगा. इफ आई हैव टू बॉडीज ऑफ masses m1, suppose m1 is the mass of body A and m2 is the mass of body B. You are getting my point or not? I have two bodies of masses m1 and m2, and suppose the distance between their centers is r. Now, as per the universal law of gravitation, इसका statement ही है, every body attracts every other body with a force. Now the question is, what is the magnitude of this very force that has been given by Isaac Newton in his famous universal law of gravitation? So the statement of this very law is, every body attracts every other body with a force, and the magnitude of this very force is, it is directly proportional to the product of their masses, and it is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between their centers. यह है इसका statement, theoretical statement जो है, every body attracts every other body with a force that is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between their centers. Now, अगर मैं इस लॉ को मैथमेटिकली लिखना चाहूंगा, for that I have to consider two bodies of masses m1, m2, and suppose r is the distance between their centers. Now, mathematically अगर मैं इस लॉ को लिखना चाहूंगा, so I will simply write mathematically f is directly proportional to the product of the masses, that is m1 into m2, और जो दूसरा पार्ट है इसका, it is inversely proportional to square of the distance between the centers of the two bodies. You are getting it or not? और जो direction of the force है, and this force, I mean the gravitational force, acts along the line, joining the centers of the two bodies, that is O, O dash. So the force acts along O, O dash. I mean, this body is attracted towards this body along O, O dash, and the body A, it is also attracted towards the body B as per the Newton's third law. So as per Newton's third law, because to every action there is always an equal and opposite reaction. So this body is also attracted towards this body along O, O dash, that is center to center interaction is here. So this is the mathematical form of universal law of gravitation. If I combine the two, let me write here combining first and second. So I will get, what is this basically? It is sign of proportionality, and this implies it is directly proportional to the product of the masses. Once again it is sign of proportionality here, but this 1 by, I mean this reciprocal relationship involved here, it shows force of attraction is inversely proportional to the square of the distance. What does this mean? Here this direct relation means if we increase the masses, the force of attraction will get increased. If we decrease the masses, rather the product of the masses, the force of attraction will get decreased, right? Now what does this inverse relation mean here? If we increase the separation between the two bodies, force of attraction will get decreased. How much? I will explain it in a numerical. If we decrease the distance between the two masses, force of attraction will get increased. This is what is meant by the direct and inverse relationship. So if I combine first and second here, I will get F is directly proportional to M1 M2 divided by R square. Now as usual in the laws of physics, to replace this sign of proportionality into equality, I have to introduce a constant. So to replace this sign of proportionality into equality, I will introduce a constant that is denoted by capital G. So this is G M1 M2 divided by R square. Now what is this G basically? It is constant of proportionality, और इस G को हम कहते हैं यूनिवर्सल ग्रेविटेशनल कांस्टेंट. क्या कहते हैं हम इस G को? यूनिवर्सल ग्रेविटेशनल कांस्टेंट. Why universal gravitational constant? I will explain it a little bit later. लेकिन पहले मैं आपको इसका experimental value बताना चाहूंगा. What is the value of this universal gravitational constant? It is 6.67 into 10 raised power minus 11. Now units मैं इस फार्मूला से निकाल सकता हूं. यहां पे मैं G की एक्सप्रेशन ऐसे भी लिख सकता हूं. G is equal to, शाबाश, this is equal to FR square divided by M1 M2, right? So what is the SI unit of this universal gravitational constant? कैसे निकालेंगे? You are familiar with the concept of the force. I mean in the chapter motion and the laws of motion, you have heard about everything about the force description of the force as well. So what is the SI unit of force? It is basically Newton. What about the SI unit of distance? Meter. So here it will be meter square, and the SI unit of mass is kg. So denominator में आएगा kg square. So simply I will write this is Newton meter square per kg square. So this is the SI unit of universal gravitational constant. So I will write the value of G is 6.67 into 10 raised power minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. Actually it was the English physicist, English scientist Henry Cavendish उसका नाम था, जिसने इसका वैल्यू एक्सपेरिमेंटली पहले निकाला. एक एक्सपेरिमेंट है, इसको कहते हैं टॉरिजन बैलेंस एक्सपेरिमेंट, or you can say that was basically a sensitive balance. You can say sensitive balance experiment or torsion balance experiment. With the help of that experiment, it was English physicist Henry Cavendish who gave the experimental value of this G, I mean universal gravitational constant in 1798. और ये जो universal law of gravitation है, अगर आपको याद होगा, this was first published in 1687 in a book called Principia Mathematica, या you can simply call it Principia. Basically एक book है which was published in 1687. इसी में ये फेमस यूनिवर्सल लॉ पब्लिश हुआ था Principia book में. You can simply call it Principia or simply Principia Mathematica. So Henry Cavendish basically gave the value, experimental value of G in 1798 with the help of torsion balance experiment. So this is the experimental value of G, I mean universal gravitational constant, right? Now the question is, why it is called the universal gravitational constant? Why G is called the universal gravitational constant? Why universal gravitational constant? I mean, इस G को हम क्यों कहते हैं यूनिवर्सल ग्रेविटेशनल कांस्टेंट? इसके लिए दो रीजन मैं आपको बताऊंगा. नंबर वन, ये जो G है, it does not depend upon the shape of the masses, it does not depend upon the nature of the masses, it does not depend upon the size of the masses as well. Number one, so ये जो G है, it does not depend upon the shape, it does not depend upon the size, and it does not depend upon the nature of the masses as well. I mean, whether the bodies are big or small, or whatever is the shape of the two masses, G is still the same. और एक और reason है why this is called the universal gravitational constant. Whether you place air, चाहे आप दो masses के दरमियान air रखो, I mean medium, whether you place the two masses in vacuum or water or air or whatever is the medium between the two masses, G is still the same. So ये जो universal gravitational constant है, it does not depend upon the nature of intervening medium. I mean, whatever you place between the two masses, whether it is air or you place the two masses in vacuum or water, the value of G will still remain the same. That is why we say that this G, it is truly universal. That is, it is same throughout the universe, whether you are on the surface of Earth, you are on the surface of Moon, you are on the surface of Mars, or anywhere in the universe, its value will still remain the same. That is equal to 6.67 into 10 is power minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. That is why it is called the universal gravitational constant, right? Now you are in a condition to distinguish between gravity and gravitation. So this was the statement of, rather the mathematical form of universal law of gravitation. So the mathematical form of this very law is, so I will write it here, F is equal to G m1 m2 divided by r square. Now let's try to solve a few questions regarding the universal law of gravitation. Few tricky questions are there which we will try to solve. Number one is, if mass of one body is doubled, what will happen to the force of gravitation between the two masses? I mean, if I have two bodies of masses, for example, this is mass m1, this is mass m2, right? Two bodies of given mass and the distance between their centers is r. So as per universal law of gravitation, F is equal to G m1 m2 divided by r square. ठीक है ना? Now the question is, if mass of one body is doubled, if mass of one body is doubled, what will happen to the force of gravitation? I mean, मेरे पास अब जो मास है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल m1 के बदले है अब twice m1, let this be equal to m3, or this is same, I mean m2 as it is, and the separation between the centers of the two masses is also the same. I am not changing the distance between the two masses, only I am changing mass m1. I am basically doubling the mass of one body. So let us try to find out the effect of this on the force of attraction between the two masses. ठीक है ना? So अब फोर्स क्या होगा? लेट मी कॉल दैट एफ प्राइम. ठीक है ना? नाउ m1 के बदले मैं लिखूंगा पहले, लेट मी राइट इट m3. सपोज आई हैव अनदर बॉडी m3 whose mass is twice the mass of body first, I mean m1. मैं लिखूंगा as per universal law of gravitation it is equal to G m1 m2 के बदले क्या लिखूंगा? m3 m2 divided by r square. You are following the steps or not? So F as it is, F prime G m3 m2 divided by r square. So let me write it here. So this is G. Now the mass of this body is doubled. This is twice m1. So let me write it twice m1. This is m2 divided by r square. ठीक है ना? So let me write it here. So let me write the force of attraction between two new bodies as per universal law of gravitation. It will be equal to, let me take this 2 out. So I will write it 2g. This is m1 m2 divided by r square. Now look at this very expression. I mean g m1 m2 divided by r square. Isn't it equal to F? That is the force of attraction between the original bodies. है ना? So I will substitute it here. So this is F prime basically on LHS. That is the new force between the two bodies. So this is equal to 2 times the original force of attraction between the two bodies. So the force of attraction will get doubled if mass of one of the body is doubled. ठीक है ना? Now one more question regarding this. Again I will consider the same two bodies m1 m2 separated by a distance r. Now as per universal law of gravitation, F is equal to G m1 m2 divided by r square. Now the question is, if mass of each body is doubled, I mean if the masses of both the bodies are doubled, if I have two more bodies, suppose this is m3, mass of this body is m3, and this m3 is basically twice m1, and this is m4, and the mass of this is also 2 times m2. I am not changing the separation here. Separation, I mean the distance between the two bodies, it is again equal to r. ठीक है ना? So now let us try to find out the force of attraction between these two bodies. Again मैं universal law of gravitation की जो mathematical form है वही लिखूंगा यहाँ पे. Now the force of attraction, let it be F dash. ठीक है ना? So as per universal law, this is equal to G, शाबाश, this is m3 m4 divided by r square. Question क्या है? If the masses of both the bodies are doubled, so m3 is twice m1, m4 is equal to 2 times m2. I mean, let me write it here, m3 is equal to 2 times m1, m4 is equal to 2 times m2. So let me substitute these values here and I will get F dash, that is the new force of attraction between the two new bodies m3 and m4. So as per this will be equal to G, m3 के बदले क्या लिखूंगा? 2 into m1, this is 2 into m2 divided by r square. So I will take, this is 2 into 2, that is simply 4. Let me write it here. So this is 4, this is G m1 m2 divided by r square. Now look at this very expression, G m1 m2 divided by r square. ये किसके बराबर है? Force of attraction between the original bodies. So I will write it here. So this F prime is basically equal to 4 times F. So the force of attraction will become 4 times. Now आपके लिए मैं एक assignment रखूंगा. This was when I changed the mass. Now एक तीसरा question मैं आपसे पूछूंगा. If the distance between if the distance between two bodies is doubled, what will happen to the force of attraction? Number 2. If the distance between two bodies is tripled, what will happen to the force of attraction? I mean, if r dash is equal to 2 times r, you will try to solve this. And one more, if r dash, I mean the separation between the two bodies is equal to 3r, I mean if I increase, if I make the distance triple, if the distance is tripled between the two masses, what will happen to the force of gravitation? So this was all about gravity and gravitation. Now you can yourself distinguish between gravity and gravitation. Then the universal law of gravitation, इसका statement मैंने आपको बताया, इसकी mathematical form मैंने आपको बताई. Then why it is called universal law of gravitation and why G is called the universal gravitational constant. इसका value मैंने आपको बताया. आप इसका value SI system से CGS system में भी convert कर सकते हैं. Then few of the questions regarding the mathematical form of universal law of gravitation. So this was all for today's lecture. Hope you understood all the points very well. Thank you very much.